My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of RoboCop. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But this movie is a classic. Many people love it. And I do like it. I just don't think it's as good as people say. But let's begin talking about what I love, and it's the direction by Paul Verhoeven. He just brings this very unique feel to this movie. Like, it's very distinct. I love the stop motion animation being used for the big robots. I love the design of RoboCop and where he keeps his weapons and just how blocky he is. He just looks massive compared to everyone else. I also love how he looks without his helmet and how they use that to give him some more humanity when it's desperately needed. I think the practical effects in this movie look great. I especially love that toxic waste scene. It's just perfection. I love how bloody this movie can be. I love the news segments. I thought that was a great addition to this movie. I love the world building, and I like the music by Basil Poledouris. So, like, direction-wise, this movie completely works for me. The narrative also completely works for me. I do appreciate the fact this movie is only 1 hour and 40 minutes, even though it does drag a bit in the second half. I like the story, and I think there's a really great psychological element where this guy dies and he's brought back to life against his will, but he has no free will. He's a slave to what they want him to be. And that's a very terrifying thought. I like how this movie explores how workers are just viewed as property, the corruption of the police, and there's lots of other things on this movie's mind, and it's a very thoughtful movie. And one of my favorite parts about it is how, for the first 2 acts, this guy's like invincible. You shoot him, does nothing. But when they need to raise the stakes, they find a way to. The reveal that he can't arrest that one guy is really effective, and I love how the police just shoot him down to the point where he's almost completely dead. It gives you flashbacks to when the gang killed him at the beginning of the movie. And you can just see how damaged he is after that point, and it's a good way to get me more invested in the last act. I also do love that one scene of the robot falling down the stairs. That's a perfect moment. And I do love the ending of this movie. How he gets, Dick Jones gets fired, then RoboCop shoots him, thank you. And then the movie ends. It's very abrupt, but it's very satisfying, and it just ends the movie off on a high note. So, the story does work for me. But then we get to the characters. And this is the big problem with this movie, because I don't think any of the characters are all that interesting. Like, Murphy is hardly developed at all at the start of this movie. Like, with the exception of a few vague flashbacks, we never see him with his family, and then he becomes partners with Anne, and she's barely developed, and we barely see them working together, and it's just not enough for me to get truly invested in what's happening to these characters. There's a real lack of emotion, and I also thought the villains were pretty generic as well. Like, you've got the generic gang leader, you've got the generic corrupt guy, businessman at the top. So, yeah, and then the cast I also think isn't all that impressive. Like, Peter Weller does a good job as RoboCop when he needs to be robotic, and the way he speaks works perfect. But when he's Murphy, there's just very little to latch onto. Nancy Allen, I think, does a fine job, but once again, what character does she have? She recognizes the gun spin, and then she wants to help him, and that's it. It's a very boring character, and she doesn't do anything to elevate her. Daniel O'Hawley is not memorable at all. Ronnie Cox as Dick Jones, I think, does a fine job. Courtwood Smith is fine in the movie as like the main villain. I do kind of like the fact they made the gang leader look like George Costanza. Like, he's not what you'd expect him to look like. But aside from that, it's a fine performance. And then Margaret Farrell, I liked him as Bob Morton. So, yes, I do still like this movie. I enjoy it. I think the direction is great. I think there are some great moments. I do like the narrative and everything this movie is trying to say thematically. The characters and the performances are where the movie doesn't quite get there for me, but I'll still give RoboCop a 7 out of 10. Okay, have you seen RoboCop? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.